Well, good evening, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's Thursday, October 16th, 2025, a little bit before 5 in the evening. And as you can see, I'm sitting out here in the van/recording studio, and I've got one kind of an interesting one for you this evening. It basically has to do with my my aneurysm situation, but there might be a little more going on than meets the eye. So let me kind of tell you what happened. Well, I go to the cardiologist every year, and as part of that, he's been monitoring an aneurysm that I have. I have what's called an abdominal aortic aneurysm, and it's not very big, and they've been monitoring it for about 5 years now. Well, a couple of months ago, when I went to the my regular cardiologist, he decided that it's gotten big enough now that he was a little concerned about it. And so he sent me to a vascular specialist, who's also here in town. He's up here a day or two a week. He's based out of the Phoenix metro area. So I went to him about a month ago, and he looked at the ultrasound from the cardiologist, and he went ahead and decided he ought to do it at my age anyway, and since I've never had a full vascular workup, he decided that I probably should have a bunch of tests done. So they scheduled a bunch of stuff, and most of it was done this week. So I had a couple of ultrasounds on Monday. On Tuesday, I went over to the hospital, and they did a CAT scan with contrast, and took blood. So it was a blood test too. And so then today I went back, and they did another ultrasound, and part of it was a redo of part of it they'd already done, and I kind of wondered about that. Well, then this afternoon, I actually met with the cardiologist, or the vascular specialist. He is a cardiologist, but he's also a vascular specialist. And let me tell you what happened. When I met with him before, he told me that he not only had the abdominal aortic aneurysm, but that they had found another aneurysm down in the femoral artery in my right leg. And I think when I talked about this before, I think I said it was my left leg, but actually it turned out to be my right leg. So I was 50% right. But anyway, so, it's been about a month since I originally saw him. And they did all these tests. And, of course, the one that was really going to show what was going on was the CAT scan with contrast. So when I met with him this afternoon, it was, let's just say it was a little bit of an odd meeting. Because he told me that my aortic aneurysm, he says that still hasn't really done much, and they want to watch that, but they're not really concerned about that. Well, then he went down to the one in my leg, and what he told me is he says it turned out to be, after the CAT scan, it turned out not to be as big as they'd originally thought when they did the ultrasound. And he acted like he thought that was really, really unusual. Well, then he went on to tell me that the arteries in my legs are larger than normal. And down around my knees, they're significantly larger than normal. And he was asking me questions, about how tall I was. And of course, I had to tell him, asked me about my weight loss from 5 years ago, and I had told him about all that. And what I got the impression he was really perplexed by that. He told me that he'd been doing this for 30 years, and he's never seen anybody with arteries, the pipes, literally the size of the pipes, my legs are very large. The arterial system of my legs is very large. Well, I got the impression that what they thought was an aneurysm in my leg was just the fact that my arteries were particularly large. And it wasn't just there, it was all the way down my leg. Now, he did not come out and say, we made a mistake, there's no problem. But he came about that close to saying that. So basically, the result was that I'm not going to need an aneurysm surgery. They're going to keep an eye on things, and he wants me to come back in 6 months. But I got the distinct impression that things weren't as bad as he originally thought they were, and that he was surprised that the artery in my leg was actually smaller than what the original ultrasound that they did in his office, that original ultrasound showed. And that he really didn't have an answer for that. Okay, so that brings up a number of possibilities here. One possibility, of course, is that they've just simply made a mistake. And that and my piping system, if you will, that pipes the blood from my heart down into my legs, is larger than a normal person. And they didn't catch that. And the other possibility, of course, is that the artery in my leg that they thought was an aneurysm, that maybe it got a little help. And maybe that call it a healing, call it what you want. So do I know what happened absolutely? And the answer is no, I don't. Do I think maybe I might have had a little help from our forest friends in the form of a healing, that they went down there and they fixed that so that it wouldn't be a problem? Within the period of the first time that they took a measurement of it till the time they took a measurement of it now, it appears to be smaller. And they appear to be quite perplexed by that. Could that have happened? Yeah, it could have. Do I know what happened? No, I don't. I have to kind of laugh a little bit because, it's one of those could have been this, could have been that things. But the bottom line is I don't have to have surgery. And they're just going to monitor it for a while, which is the best outcome we could possibly have. And I'm absolutely thrilled by it. So what's my gut feeling? Well, my gut feeling is I had a little help. And, my friend Kevin used to always say, he said, well, it's a confirmed possibility of a definite maybe. And I think that could be what's going on here. I have no proof of it. The doctor was visibly perplexed, and he's trying to give me a definite answer, and I'm not sure that he had one. That was the impression I got. So they're going to monitor it for a while and see if anything else happens. So this will be a little short one to kind of bring you up to date, and I'm glad I'm not going to have surgery for a number of reasons. And one of them is nobody wants to have surgery to start with, and then I'm concerned about the spousal unit, and I'm kind of having to be around for her, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do if I was going to be laid up for a little while, and what we were going to do to take care of her. And of course the other one's financial, because even though I've got insurance, there's still co-pays involved, and there's a lot of money involved in any time that somebody's going to cut on you. So I want to thank all of you for your well wishes, and I want to thank all of you for your prayers. And that might have been something to do with it too. We can't rule that out either. There might have been a little bit of divine intervention going on there. There might have been a little bit of help from the forest people going on there, and and it could have been just a boo-boo on the technician's part and the doctor's part. But any one of those things, can't rule any of those things out. But it's interesting nonetheless, and it's I'm a little bit perplexed myself about it, but overall, as I said, I'm pleased, and I appreciate all of you. And I've been mentioning this both on my community page, and I think I've talked about it in a couple of videos. But I'm not even sure what I'm going to title this video, because it's just a little bit of an odd thing to add to all the other little odd things that have been happening. And so that's what it is. So as I always tell you, take care of each other and love each other, and take care of yourself, and take care of your health. Show gratitude for what you got, and I definitely am grateful for the fact that I'm not looking at having a surgery here pretty quick, and I don't have to limit my activities, and I don't have to worry about it. And, if the good Lord presented me with larger than normal arteries in my legs. I guess I've probably always had that and never knew it. But that's what they're telling me now. So I'll keep this one short and sweet. And until I talk to you again, let me just tell you, peace out.